Hi, good evening everyone, and welcome to my stream. So I'm wearing my dashboard top today for good luck, and I've put some more cameras on, if you notice. So no, it's not a magic trick, it's actually a left, middle, and right camera. So I thought they're there, I'll try and use them, make it a bit different, a bit quirky. Obviously you've got my rear camera, and I'm still monitoring my iMac Pro on the big screen above with HTOP. It does get quite busy streaming in one and recording in another, and I haven't kind of rebooted in a couple of weeks, so that's probably not helping. So what we're going to do today, after having some chats and some whispers with various people after the last session, I want to get a bit more deeper into GitHub and Git and open source, and then hopefully next week I really want to get into some hardcore technical stuff, most probably on Dashboard Hub, and do things like write some automated tests in Cucumber, do some API changes, DynamoDB and AWS Lambda with serverless framework, and add some Angular 5 as well. But we're working up to that. So what I would like to do today, I'm already sharing my screen. I should have had this picture on while I was talking, so you can see the t-shirt a bit better and the whole left, middle and right. But anyway, that's fine. You know, this is all practice, good practice for me. So to get back to what I want to show you, and do write if you have any questions. So let all my fans on my iMac coming on. So I've logged in with my wife's account on GitHub, so therefore it's not so active. But also if I go to her profile, she and her repositories, she hasn't got using her GitHub pages for her account. So if you log into your GitHub account, or if you create a new GitHub account, I want to do it from that sort of step. So it's if it was fresh. Ignore these ones that you see here. They're all forks anyway. So if I change this to sources, it's empty. So effectively, when you create a new account, this is kind of what you'll see. And so what is GitHub? So GitHub is like a wrapper for Git. So Git is version control. So each time you make a change to a file, you can then do a commit, which means it gives you a save point. And that way, hey Sneaky Gamer, thanks for joining. If I have any questions as I go on, do let me know, and we'll talk about it. So yeah, so Git's a version control, and that allows you to make save points in your code. So if you mess something up, you can roll back to it, you can try some things out. You can also do things like branching. So you might have a branch that is your main stream of work, and if you do a feature, you might want to branch off. And in fact, if I drew this on my whiteboard wall, it would be a lot easier to see, but it's got loads of stuff on it. I'm not gonna wipe it off while I've got you all there. So I'll have that ready maybe for next time, and I can spin spin the rear camera around, and you can probably see that. So yeah, so you can then branch off and you can do a feature work, and when you're happy with that, it doesn't affect the main line, you can then merge it back in. There are different types of merges, but I'm not gonna go into that now and confuse things anymore. So that's Git in a simplistic way, but you also then, once you've done a commit, it's just local saves. No one else in your team has that. So what you would then do is, when you're happy with one or more commits, you would then push them up to GitHub. And GitHub gives you a presentational view of your repo, your Git repo, but also gives you a wiki, issue tracking, project boards, and so on, which I'll show you now. So we'll create a new repo. So if you've just created an account on GitHub, or you've got an account but you haven't created a repo yet, this is what it looks like. So you just hit new, and we'll give it a name. And I want to give it a particular name because I want the username of the account to be on .github.io, so we can put a static website and host it using GitHub Pages, which is effectively free hosting. So we will do Sarah Jowd, and we'll say .github.io. And you don't have to use that, but for this repo to be on the root of your subdomain of GitHub, it kind of makes sense. So for other repos that have different names, you can still use GitHub Pages, and you would use a branch for that. So I want to make it public. We'll initialize with a README and license, and we'll add one MIT, git ignore, no. You can put a description, so my personal website, and hit create. Right, so this is the repository. This is, which is more like a project view actually at the moment now, because you have so many other tabs I'm going to go through and see. So it's created the repo. Is it possible to make the repo on the GitHub out of already existing folders and files? Yes, it is. That's a really good question actually. So yes, it is, and that's really easy to do. So if when I hit new and created the repo, I wouldn't select add a README or add a license, just create it. And this page now that you would see would be blank. And then, but you would still have this green button here, which I was going to come on to later on, but I'll jump onto it now. You would then take your Git, your SSH path to your repo, copy that, and if all you would do is on the command line, you'd go into the project. So let's do this in two ways so you can see it. So if I've created the new repo, which you've seen, I could go git clone and do this as you've, oh, not that, sorry, that's not it. I didn't copy it. And it would create me a folder, and it would put the license and README in that folder. And it's all set up, and I can commit and I can push and pull with GitHub, it'll all work. But as Sneaky Gamer rightfully pointed out, you might have a project locally already that maybe is not being tracked by Git or is being tracked by Git, it doesn't matter. So let's do that as well as a comparison, because that's the easy way if you're starting from scratch. But if you have got something, so let's make a folder and let's just call it the project name Sarah Gerald, and let's go into that folder. Very nice, yes indeed, in the current project. Exactly. So no, you wouldn't have to start again. You can get your current projects and you can just get them up there, and I'll show you how. So we're in this project, in this folder now, and it's not, if I list everything in this directory, there is nothing in here. It's a clean folder, there is nothing there, but let's create a file there. So let's open Atom here. I'll do it in Atom just so it's easier to see. Atom's open on my other screen, of course it has. Oh, you can see it sneaking through on the side. I'm just trying to resize it and bring it over because the resolution is different for streaming. Here we go. So if I put this over here, if I create a new file, I call it index.html. So I've got this file, I'm just going to put the name in it. This is my wife's name. So if I minimize that for a second. So we've got this. If I do list everything as directory, you've got the index.html, and it's not tracked by Git, there's nothing going on. If I try and type a Git command and say git status, it's just gonna break. It's not a Git repository, it doesn't know anything about it. So what you would do, and by cloning the repo from GitHub, this is all done for you. So this is more the longer route, or the scenic route. You'd have Git installed, and all you would need to do is type git init, which means initialize it. So now this directory has a Git folder, hidden Git folder in there. So if I list the files and folders, you'll see .git, and it's now treated as a GitHub repo. And you can see my terminal now says it's a Git repo, and we're in branch master, which is the default branch for Git, and you can change all that. And we can get into that later on if there's time. If not, we'll do it another time. So now if I use, you probably only need 4 or 5 commands, maybe 6 at most from Git. And one of them is git status. I like to put -s because it's a summary, but git status, it says you're on master branch, there are no commits yet, and there's one untracked file. And by untracked, that means Git is not keeping an eye on it, it's not monitoring it, it's ignoring it for the moment. it's good if you recognize them, and if you don't, do just ask questions. So thanks for your support on this. It's really good to see the positive or feedback or negative. It's really, really helpful. So Sneaky Gamer, I really appreciate it. I want to watch your stream later on in the week when you do it and you do this with your projects, and I can help out as well. So if I use the git status command but put -s at the end, it will give me kind of an abbreviated view. And you can see it's got question marks by it because Git's saying I don't know much about this. So I could do a commit, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it up to GitHub so we can get it in sync first. So this is not a command you need very often, but git remote -v shows you what your local Git repository, because Git is distributed, you would have local versions and remote versions and so on. You can have multiple remote versions. So for example, with Heroku, you can actually deploy via doing a git push, but you would have to have a remote that is set up for Heroku. But we're not going to go into that. But if I do this, it's going to tell me I have nothing. So we want to add GitHub. And like I said, if I had cloned it, it would already be done for us. But again, this is not hard. It's not hard to do. It's just a few extra steps. So what we need to do is use the remote command, but what we want to do is add a remote, and we're going to call it origin because that's the default what happens when you clone a repo. And we would then again use this link. So if I copy this link and we're saying we're going to add the GitHub as a remote, and it's going to be called origin. So I hit add, that's done. If I go up a couple of times and I use the git remote -v, it's going to say my push and my fetch are the same, but now GitHub set to origin. So now, if I do a git pull, actually before I do that, I'll do a git log, and it's going to say has no commits in it, which is true. But if you look on GitHub, it says, yes, my Nightbot came up. I did a Nightbot and I wasn't sure if it was going to work. But it came up. It should come up every 15 minutes. So in my chat, hopefully it's not too spammy. What you'll see on GitHub is it's got one commit, which is when we created the repo. So if I click on that, it will say initial commit. So I have nothing locally on my computer, although I've added GitHub as a remote, but we haven't done a pull to bring it down. So now if I do a git pull, it will ask for my password. Oh, actually it's going to break. Oh no, it didn't. Okay, interesting. The reason why I say I thought it was going to break is because locally my SSH keys are from my account, not from my wife's account. But it works. She must have added my keys, or we've got something set up from a long time ago that I don't remember. So I did a git pull and it worked, but it kind of didn't work because I didn't know which branch I wanted to pull and merge in, because a pull brings down the changes and merges it in. So all it's done now is effectively a fetch. So what we'll do is we'll say git pull. If you don't specify anything, it brings down everything, but we'll do git pull. I want to pull origin and I want to pull down master. Oh, I can't spell master. There we go. So I'll type in my password. You probably won't have a password if you haven't set it up to have a confirmation password. So it's pulled it down. And now if I type a git status, again, the index file will still be untracked by GitHub, because we haven't told it to track it. Not spammy at all. And then the Nightbot does my GitHub and my Twitter account. So hopefully that's still not spammy. Maybe I combine them into a single message or something. So rather than 3 messages, there's just one. If I do a git log though, before we saw nothing. So now we actually see one commit, which is what we saw on GitHub. So now they align. You can see initial commit title and initial commit title here as well. Thanks for your feedback. It's true, you're right. It's the first time testing out Nightbot. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of trial and error, just like with the cameras and everything else. So, okay. So now if I do a git status, again, that file isn't tracked, but if I list the files in the directory, we will see that license and readme have come down from GitHub. Okay, so what I want to do is I've got this index.html that isn't on GitHub, so let's commit it and let's put it onto GitHub. If I just open it to show you that it's got some content, it's just the name. Actually, in fact, let's just do hello world. That's always fun to do. Okay, so now I'm going to do a commit. So it's going to be git commit -m to say I want to add a message, double quotes with the message in it, which is going to be, I don't know, index file added. And then after that, you don't have to specify any paths if you want to use staging and unstaging, but I'm not going to get into that, so let's specify it. So we can specify index.html, or as we've only changed one file, we can cheat and just use dot. But use dot very carefully, because if you've got loads of other files, then it will commit everything together. I did misspell git, thank you very much. But also it's not going to work. Another thing I just thought of. If I just hit Control U on the Mac, it's Control U, and I think on the PC it might be the same, and Linux might be the same. It just basically cuts out what's in my terminal, so I can press Control Y and get it back in a minute. So I'm just going to cut that out. The reason why I've cut it out is if I do a git status -s, Git is still not tracking the index file. So if I do a commit, it's going to have nothing to commit because I haven't told Git to track that file. So apologies, I've done this in a slightly wrong order, but we'll come back to that commit message in a second. Is we need to add that file to Git so Git knows to keep an eye on it for changes or deletions or renames or moves. So all you have to do is do git add, and you can either specify the file name, or you can do a dot to say add everything that's got question marks against them. And again, be careful with this because you might add more things than you want. So it's always better to do a git status to find out what Git thinks what Git is not tracking if you're going to use the dot. So I do the dot, and now if I do a git status -s again, it's going to say index.html is an A, and A means added. So you can have an A added, you can have an M for modified, you can have a D for deleted, and you'd have a U for conflict. Again, conflict we'll leave for another time. If it's just yourself, you probably won't get conflicts, so it'll be fine. So I've added it now. So if I press Control Y and get the command that I was typing before, you'll see I've got the message and I've got the dot at the end, because from the git status, only thing that's changed is index.html. If I do a commit, it now says it's created that file. So if I do a git status, it's going to say nothing's changed from my last commit. But if I refresh GitHub, it's still only got the one commit, and it's still only got those two files. And if I do a git log locally, it says I've got two commits. The reason for that is I haven't pushed up my commits yet. And the reason why it's done in two stages or two steps is because you might commit things you might do multiple commits locally before pushing it up. So if I exit that, and I can just do git push to origin. Again, you might have Heroku, you might have other stuff, and then I want to push master. So again, I type my password. You won't have that. I'll hopefully type it right second time or third time. Aha, okay, like I said before, I don't have permissions to my wife's account, so I could add it as a remote and pull it because it's an open source public repo, but I can't push it. So that is really bad. I should have prepared beforehand. Right, okay. Plan B is I will add my keys to her account. Let's take a 2-minute break, so I want to stop sharing my screen while I do that. But what would be good is if you could have a think about the commands that I run. Still pretty confusing. It's practice, so I do appreciate it's confusing. What would be really good is while I sort out these keys, I might need 2 or 3 minutes, is if the people watching, we've got 6 people watching, if you could create yourself a repo in your GitHub account. Again, use your username .github.io for the repo. It doesn't have to be, but GitHub does something clever with that. And create that, and create an index or HTML file in there as well if you want, if you have to do that. If not, I can help you. And leave it there, and then you'll see what we're going to do next, because we're going to get free static website hosting from GitHub by doing this as well in addition. So hey Kosi QQ, hopefully I can pronounce that correctly. If you do that, you can do it from, you have a GitHub one, I'm sure I did a long time ago, I don't remember how I did it, or it wasn't using Git. So you don't have to use Git just yet. You can, if you make the repository on your GitHub account, and then I can go over the commands I did. I can create another file and we can go over those commands again. But it was, if you clone the repo, you won't have to add the remote. And then there was git commit and git push. But we'll come back to those. Just let me, you pronounced it correctly, cool. Give me 2 minutes, let me sort out my SSH keys on this account so I can do a push and you can see that. And like I said, I plan tonight to not only do some git commands with like git commit, git status, git log, git pull and push, but also to do GitHub pages, which means gives you free static hosting. Okay, 2-3 minutes, I will be back. I'll put the holding page up. I'm not hanging up the stream, just putting the holding page up, and there will be some music. And come back with your questions. So I want to see lots of questions when I come back. So go try something, and then let me know what the questions are. Or I can demo it on this account. Hey all, I'm back. Okay, so I didn't quite do what I needed to do. My computer is playing up. So what I'm going to do is actually show it to you through the GitHub UI. So again, we can ignore a bit about the Git commands and actually use the GitHub UI to achieve what we want. So that way we can still get understand the terminology, actually do the work, and actually get a public website hosted for free on GitHub. And then maybe tomorrow what I can do is actually do that via the command line. I think therefore it's a bit more in stages. So just to recap, for anyone new that's joined, is I have created a repo with the account name .github.io, and what I'm going to do, and from here you can see that in the repo you get issues, so you can create new issues. So for example, let me say create holding page, and you can assign it to other people, you can put labels on it, you can put it to the projects or milestones. Let's just keep it really, really simple. So I've got that issue. Pull request is when you want people to review your work, or you want people who want to contribute to your project. I've done quite a few of those over the last few days, so do check out my previous videos for how to do pull requests. Every day, every one of my previous videos, I think it's 5 of them, I did 2 or 3 pull requests to open source projects. The project board is a bit like Trello. I'm not going to create it now, but you can kind of create a project board and you can drag and drop between the columns. A wiki is a wiki, it's pretty self-explanatory, and then you've got some graphs and so on. So if I go back to the code tab, when I created the repo, I said, yeah, give it an MIT license, and yes, please create me a holding README file. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it index.html. If I can spell it right, .html, and we'll say hello world. And then again, if you look at that down here, it says commit new file. So like I was showing on the command line before, you need to give it a message. So we can say created index file. And then when we did the commit to the branch we were in, this is giving us other options, but yes, we'll commit directly to master. And if I hit create, now you'll see in this view, I've got index.html. The commits has now gone up by 1. So there's the original one, which was when I created the repo, which GitHub did for me. And then I've got created index file. And you can click on these. Each time you do a commit, you get a hash, and it actually shows you what's changed. If I click on this, it's telling me that I created this file. This is what I did. So if we go back again, do jump in if any questions you do have. So, okay, that Nightbot is getting a bit spammy now. I need to sort that out. Let me see. So we've created index.html, and it's got hello world in it. If I go to settings and scroll all the way down here, it says GitHub pages, and it says it has been deployed out. So if I open that in a new tab and go back to here, we will see Sticky Gamer has been timed out for 5 seconds. Stop posting links. What was that for? That's what I did so far, but I can't post a link as they get removed. Oh, I see. Tell you what, don't post the link. Just post us your username, and we can find it from there. So if you post so for example, if I was just to post, I'd probably post this, and then we can guess the rest because it's got your username and the repo name, and we can go straight to it because we can just append it to github.com. So if you post that, we can have a look, and I can even send you a pull request on my next video, so you get to practice that as well. You get to practice an open source contribution. Excuse all that noise, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so right, so what I wanted to show you, okay, I'll have a look at your repo in a second. So what I wanted to show is in index.html, I have hello world, and I opened this URL on another tab, and you see hello world. So this is publicly available. If you want to go to this URL, and I can post it, and you can click on it. and you will see that you see the same as me. This is not locally on my machine, this is publicly available. And so what I would like to do is to make another change. So if we put actually some HTML in here, I'm going too fast, let me go back and show you actually what I was doing. So I've got these files in my repo with 2 commits. Now if I click on index.html, it's got the view of what's in the file. I've got this edit pen here. I hit it, I'm in edit mode. So if I just put, I don't know, a H1 around this, it's not going to be styled very well. We can add bootstrap or so on later on. And if I just put a p tag and say, this is a description, well, that's just a bit boring. Coding, open source, there we go. Open source coding is cool. Right, and if I scroll to the bottom now, again, it's going to ask me for the commit message, just like it would on Git on the command line, and say added description. And I commit directly to master, and I commit it. So now it takes us back to the view of this page, and if I go back to the beginning of the repo, you will see that I've got 3 commits now. So the 3rd commit is here, it says add description. And now if I go to the 2nd tab, it takes about a minute to deploy out, refresh, there's no change. Let's give it another minute. I did think GitHub has added ticks and there we go. It had the amber 0 before, and now it's green. So if I go back to here and refresh it, he says, anyone else? Can you refresh it on your side? I don't think it's cached on mine. I am refreshing. I did change it, because if I click on the hash, it does show me that I removed this line and I added these 2. This is the Git part of GitHub, or the underlying things. You can again do this on the command line, but you will see, you can see, hey Vendra, thanks for joining. So you will see my changes. You will see that I removed this line and added these 2. So you're saying it's working for you. Hey, it's working for me now. So again, our website is completely live. So that is effectively GitHub and GitHub pages in a nutshell. So I showed you issues. I didn't show pull requests, and we were going to check out Sneaky Gamer's repo. So let's have a look. If I open this, oh, that's a bit stupid. I didn't put the GitHub URL in. So github.com. I need a / in there. Okay, so this is your repo, brilliant. Okay, it is better if you do it with, let me see what else you've got. Yeah, so if you want to have it on the root of the URL, Sneaky Gamer, if you could create a new repo that has your account name .github.io. So if I write it in the chat, so it's possible to work on projects on the local machine and then just save all those things straight to GitHub somehow. Yes, so I know my GitHub push didn't work because I'm using Sarah's account. I don't have that SSH key locally. But yes, so as you do a commit, you would then do a push or rename the repo. Yeah, Vendra, like it. I'll demo that in a second actually. Yeah, when you do a commit locally, that's all just local. And when you do a push up, that's when the exact same thing would happen. A minute later, GitHub would then deploy it out. So, just like Vendra suggested, if you can go to settings, Sneaky Gamer, if you can go to settings on your repo, I don't have it when I go to yours because I don't have permission. So on yours, and just rename yours to be your account name. So sneakies.github.io. Like that, and just hit rename, and it will ask for confirmation and just say yes, and we'll show you how. We'll show you why. It's a good idea, Vendra. Thanks for the call. Everyone should follow this guy. He knows his stuff. Although I am following you, Vendra, and I'm waiting for you to do a stream. When are you thinking? Next week? This weekend? Bit of peer pressure? Okay, don't hate me. So. Sneaky Gamer, let me know when you've renamed that, and I can go back. Should be done, okay. So, if we go back to your account, and hit repositories, yep, it's renamed, okay, perfect. So this is your repo, you've got 2 commits. If You've got index.html file, and you put some stuff in there. Perfect. So if I copy this, I don't know if the capital S is going to cause an issue. I'm hoping not. It worked. There you go. So you've got Hello World in yours. You've got a website publicly that you're preparing mentally for it. Practice does make perfect. I do feel I am less nervous now. I'm still a bit nervous, especially when I get technical issues or the doorbell rings and so on. So Sneaky Gamer, you've got that. So that's now your open source code is there, and it's publicly available, and it's hosted. You can give out this URL. Sneakies.github.io, that's your domain. But if you really wanted your own custom one, say if you had sneakygamers.com, all you would need to do is put in a file in here called CNAME in capital. GitHub have documented this really well, and in there you would just put in your domain, and then you would update the DNS on your domain, and it would just tie it together and work. Let me read these messages. That's insane. So then basically a repo is for a public website. If it's static, so if you've got backend code, then no, it won't work. But for HTML, CSS and JavaScript, you've got free hosting, and you can do it for all your repos. So if you had more repos, so say for example, you've got Hello World here, you could also do it for this one, but it would be, the URL would be slightly different. It would be sneakies.github.io / the repo name, which I've forgotten already, Hello World. It would be that, which won't work yet because you have to be on a specific branch to do that. That's why I was quite keen to get you to rename it to be the same as your account name, because then GitHub makes it a bit simpler. Glad you like it. I'm glad it's useful. There's a few other people on the listening in, so hopefully it's useful for them. If you do have any questions, anyone else as well, please do jump in. Don't be shy. I'm just checking messages on this screen over here, so I'm looking at this camera. So what else can we demo? So, you get that makes sense. I'm going to log you an issue, okay? I'm going to say, I'm going to create an issue on your repo, so I can. Your repo is public, so I can. I'm going to say, add screenshot to README. I'm going to submit that for you. And on your repo now, you'll see that there's an issue submitted. So you can do that, or you don't have to, or you can just hit close. You don't have to have it. So let me do a pull request. So let's take this one step further. Okay, for now I'm good on questions, but the very next thing I'll be able to work on my projects on my PC and then see if I can save things and push them up. Okay, I can demo that on a different repo where I do have access to it locally. But before I do that, I want to show you the power of open source. Yes, they can contribute. So, exactly, and for future employers, love it. A lot of jobs nowadays are saying, we don't want CVs because people can lie and write BS all over it. They want to see your GitHub, they want to see what you have done. So yeah, it's really, really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go edit the file and I'm going to make a change to your code. But it won't appear on your website until you accept it. So you're going to see the beauty of open source. I guess the question is, now I'm doing it on your repo, should I do it from my account so I can do it on the command line and you can see the commit and the push and pull? So I will do that. So what I'll do is I'll come to your repo, and if I want to contribute, there are two ways I can do it. I can do it really easily via the GitHub UI even. I can just click on the file I want and click edit. And I could make a change here and say hello world. I don't know, I'm not going to commit this, it doesn't really matter, but by Eddie. And if I scroll to the bottom, what you'll notice is different. I don't have what I have on my repo, which says commit to master. It's only going to it's a proposed file change. It's only going to come through to you as a pull request. But I want to show you the command line side. So what I'll do is I will fork your project, which I think has happened already. GitHub's done the magic already. If I go to forks, yeah, it has. It's forked it to Sarah's account, which I don't want to do because I can't do the command line for Sarah's account. So what I will do, I'll sort that out later on. I'm actually going to bring my Safari over to this screen, not this one. And then I'm going to open a new tab and log in with my account and I will show you. So if I do GitHub, I'll minimize this. Okay, then now these things will be committed to different branches. When I fork, it will be a branch, even if it's master, it will be in my fork, so it won't affect you. Branching is when you have multiple people working on the same repository and they all have access to it. You might want to do different features and different branches, and you might want to use branches for production, so when things go into that, when you're happy, maybe your CI like Travis or Circle will automatically deploy it. I wouldn't worry about branches for now. You don't need to worry about those for now really. So if I go back to your account, which was not that one, okay, this is your account. If I go to your repo and I will fork it, I've got loads of options here, ignore those. Most people just have one, and I fork it to my account. So now I've got a copy of your entire repo on my account. And what I want to do, I'm gonna do it I can do this on the command line because it's my account. If I open terminal, but terminal was having a bit of an issue earlier on. I think it is still having a bit of a moment. This is not going well. Every stream I've had a technical issue. That is not good at all. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and disconnect from the screen above. Just to see. I don't think that'll make a difference. Okay. That's fine. Technology these days, I know. So I can either do a pull request to you on the GitHub UI, but I really wanted to show you the command line because you seemed like you understood the GitHub side and the open source side a bit, but it was the command line side that you wanted. But I suppose what I could do is, no, if terminal's not working, let me just try and force quit it and see. The iMac Pro is letting me down today. Force quit. Okay, if I force quit terminal. Okay, now that's closed. Let me try and reopen it. Okay, so nothing's open yet. So terminal, it says it's opening. I don't see anything. It's not good. Yeah, it's having a bit of a. I should have restarted. I haven't restarted for like 2 weeks. Right. Okay. So not to make sure today is a total failure as I lose watchers, I will do it via the GitHub UI. So I'm going to go back to your repo. At least this way we get to do the pull request side. So I'm going to go back to your repo. I'm going to make a change here. So I'm going to say edit like before. And I'm going to say hello world, and we'll put in. Let me fix some indentation. Yeah, next stream. I'll have it sorted for next stream, which I'll do tomorrow. And let's say this is a pull request. This is an open source pull request. So I come down here, I'll propose it, saying, I don't know, more content, hit propose file change, and then it will just show me the differences of what I've changed. So in red it's what I removed, in green it's what I added. I'm happy with that, and I want to make it it automatically fills it in. If you did it on the command line, when you come to GitHub, you would have to then say compare across forks, which I'll demo tomorrow, and pick my repo and my branch, which in this case, GitHub by default on the UI calls it patch and just increments a number. So I'm going to create pull request. I can add a bit more information with a screenshot if I want, but I'll keep it simple for now. Just hit create pull request. So now on Sneaky Gamer, if you look, you'll see in the tab pull request, in my pull request, you can go to look at file changes. You could put a comment and say, I don't like this, or whatever you want. But if you're happy with it, all you need to do, I don't have a button here because I don't have access to your repo. You have a big green button that says merge. You hit merge, you'll get another box appear, which is the commit message, and it should be pre-filled already. And you just hit accept. And then not only will it end up in your repo, you'll see an extra commit from myself, but then it will also get deployed out automatically after that as well. So let us know how you're getting on in the chat. Let us know if I refresh this page when that pull request disappears from a 1 to 0, and my name will appear here. I know it's been accepted. So go into the pull request and you have a big green button there that you just need to hit accept. And you can put comments in and you can close it if you don't want it. But this way we're showing the happy path of things working. There we go, it says merge, my screen's updated. If we go to code, and I refresh this page, it hasn't appeared. Oh yeah, there we go. It says you've merged my pull request, so commits have gone to 4. And it says it's got my commit, and then it's got your commit, which is accepting mine. So, in a minute, if we go to your GitHub pages, GitHub, which was this URL. There we go. You can see that now you've accepted it, it's deployed it out. So, anyone else listening, make a change and let Sneaky Gamer get some pull requests. So that's effectively, I've done an open source contribution and you've accepted it. So this is how some projects, get hundreds or thousands of contributors, even if there are only small lines of, spacing or improving documentation. It is really beneficial because when you've got hundreds of people doing that, it is really useful. Yes, and if anyone looked at this, they could go, oh, okay, if as an employer looking at your repo and go, okay, let's see what HTML they've written. They can see that this has been written by Sneakies and me. So they could also go, history. They can see the history on this file. So they can see you've added the file. They could see that I've changed that line 10 and added a new line 11. They could also do, in addition to history, they could also do a blame. And they could say, well, okay, you did these lines and I did these 2 lines. So, they can see what your contribution was as well. There's lots of things going on. And even raising an issue counts as a contribution because, you're coming up with ideas, you're logging a bug or whatever it is. Oh, Venzera, do you like you recognize my hoodie? Yeah, Sneaky Gamer, it does go really deep. There is so much more to it. And as you mentioned, there are branches. You have multiple branches. There are releases. Now, if you look at your contributors, you'll see you've got yourself and you've got me. I'm now one of your contributors. So, my project that I talk about sometimes, Dashboard Hub. If I go to that, GitHub, I don't edit Dashboard Hub because I actually have it under an organization. You see I've got like 115 stars, 94 forks. Not all of those people have contributed, but they forked it and showed an interest. You get the different code that was used, you get releases. If I go to my contributors, I've got various contributors, and that really helps. Venza, I don't see you on there. Sneaky Gamer, I don't see you on there either. Come on, contribution please. It's good practice for you both. I also saw the issue which you put there probably. Yeah, I did. Now you can do the issue later with the screenshot. It's good practice for you. And once you've put the screenshot in the issue, then you can just close in the README. You can then just close the issue. Can I make it so that when people contribute to something from me and they ask to merge, that I can merge their things to a separate branch of my repo in case I don't want it in the main one changed? Yes. So if I take my Dashboard Hub project as an example, my default branch is not master because my master is what is on production. I think so. I think you should contribute something really difficult to my project, Venzera. It's all easy for you. So I'll get my tests merged in this weekend, my automated tests. Maybe you can make some improvements around there because I know they need some TLC. So I've got my default branch is actually V09, but I do have a master branch, but that's what's on production. So how do I get to your project for contribution? Good question. So if I paste this in to the chat, and if you click on that, you can make any changes to any. I've probably got some wording mistakes in my project. Let me see if I see anything. Any change you see, just make it. And and that's the README. You might see some improvements in the Angular stuff or the API. Have a look and do make a contribution, and I'll put a comment in, and it's good practice to get that workflow. So I forget what I was saying now before. Anyone remember? So I forget. But in issues, just while I think of something new, in issues you also get milestones. So I group things into milestones, and then you can then order them however you want. You can kind of drag and drop them, and then also it shows you the percentages on how the milestones are going. I don't use the project board so much. I actually removed it in settings. You can remove any of these tabs that you don't want. And on I know a lot of people use the project board a lot, but I don't. So trying to look for something. Okay, yeah, look for something. Or we can find something. I'm sure we can find something. Please get in touch. That goes to Twitter. You know what? Let's add some social media stuff to this. I don't think I've got social media. So that's the Twitter. What else have I got? GitHub, and I've got Facebook. So what you could do, if I create an issue and with some links in it, then add social, then you'll have the links for the social media. Add social media links to README. So if I just add these in, I'll just find out what they are, then you can add those in for me. So I've got LinkedIn actually, so let me put a table. Markdown's a really good thing to learn. So if I do social or media maybe, and then I do a link. So I'll just do one of these. And then we want the left alignment in these. And this will be a table. So first we'll do linked in, and then I'll paste the URL for you. Admin updates, that doesn't look like the right URL. Overview. Go to member view. Right, this is the link you want. You don't want that one. You've all seen it, but I'm sure you need a password to get to it. LinkedIn can't be that bad. Well, actually, it is really bad, but it can't be that bad. Dev Journey, I'm glad you made it back. Good to have you here. Any questions, let me know. So Facebook, I think there is a Facebook one. There's a Facebook link. And if I preview that in the issue, you can see it's in a lovely table. And I submit that. So, Sneaky Gamer, you have two links there. What I suggest is you go to the README, you would just click on the README, you would get a pen up here, and it will automatically fork it for you. And you'll be able to edit it, and maybe just, we can always make an improvement in the future again. It's already by adding the social media links, it's already an improvement, so I will accept it, so thank you very much. And if I want to move it around later, either I can create an issue for that, and you can do it, or I can do it, so it's not a problem. So, put it wherever seems right. Even right at the end if you want, just right at the end, just put the two links in. Do a commit, and then it will come through as a pull request. I'll put a comment in so you can see it, and then I'll accept it, and you'll be another contributor to my project, and that will be an open source contribution that you've done today. So, let me read the comments, sorry. So I copy all that to the machine at the bottom, to the README at the bottom, yes, and commit, exactly. So, hit space, make sure the file ends with a blank line, but if it doesn't, I'll put a comment in the PR, and then you could do a second commit to address the comment. It's all good practice. This is the open source side. You do get comments on your PR. I think that's a good thing. Both people learn if they have a bit of a conversation why they've done it. So by all means, make a mistake. I can put a comment in, and you can edit it. And Venzra, I think you're still on. What we need to do is do a pairing session on writing automated tests. We can get your picture up here and your screen as well, and we can flick between the two. I can't get the raw value of the issue, so I'm going to try and remember how you made the table. Okay, I can show that as well. So if I go back to the issue, I can also give you the raw version. So if I click on edit, I'll copy all that. This is what I'll do. So on GitHub in Markdown, I can do these 3 tags, and I can say Markdown. I can give it a type so it highlights it. I'll paste it and close the 3 backticks. So this will get rendered in Markdown, but this will kept as raw Markdown. So if I hit preview, you'll be able to see exactly what it was. So I'll do an update and save it. So now if you refresh the issue, you will see this. So this part is what generates this. Ignore what's below. This is a bot I wrote just to show me what as comments get updated. Oops. Delete. What the difference was. I'll just delete that. Yeah, Markdown. There's only like I think 5 or 6 things you need, and they're really really useful. While you're doing that change, stuff like this is hash is a H1. So hello. I should say H1, header 1, and header 2. Oh, header 2 will be 2 hashes. You kind of get the idea. Header 3. Again, you get the idea. And then normal paragraph is just description. Don't do anything around it. If you want a list, you can do stars, but that mixes up with bold and other stuff, so I like using the hyphen. You can go item 1, and then you can go item 2, and then you can even put checkboxes in them if you want, with square brackets. Again, I don't want to confuse the matter too much. You can do 3 dashes, makes a kind of a ruler across. Vendor, what else is there? Are you still on? Let me just check the list of people on. It's loading. Vendor, you're still there for what else? Or anyone else? So now if I hit previews for you to see it, that's what it generates. You've got the header 1, header 2, header 3, just a description, and you've got these list items. If you want bold, it's like this. So if I do it in here, I just say ** bold, and this is single star is italic. So if I preview that, you can see that's bold and that's italic. And there's also so many cool things you can do with Markdown. So I've got Markdown documentation, and you can then generate websites which are documentation. And it kind of generates it from your Markdown. It's really cool. I'll show that another time. Okay, you think you've done that? Okay, so let me go to pull requests. I don't have one. So, Sneaky Gamer, let me know what you did. So you made the change. You did a commit, and you committed it back. Did it say propose file change? Let us know, and we can help you with your first contribution. I committed it, but do I need to do something else, right? If you did it via the GitHub UI, then no, it will do it for you. So when you do the commit, I'm trying to think now. Let me do one to yours again, and we'll see. How did I do it? I do it second nature that I kind of forget. So if I go to your index.html, make a change. Change this to H1. Let's have a look. Header. And propose file change. Commit that. It should say suggest making a pull request. It's now using patch 2 for me. Create pull request, press that button. Yeah, create pull request. And then you have to do, you can give it more of a better title or description. And now this actually does the create. And that's it. So you'll have another pull request on yours, and on mine, still don't see any pull requests. Let us know if what I just did through the steps is kind of what you did. Give you a few moments to write. Did the pull request now? Okay. So if I go back to mine and hit refresh. Yes, awesome. So added social media links to the README. Awesome. So I've got a template here. So you had a template. So Other cool thing you can do is, I did create an issue for this, and the issue number is 772. So 772. So in here, I'm just going to edit your message, and I want to say closes 772. So therefore, when we merge this, we automatically close that, so it gets done in one step. I've got 44 contributions now. Nice, Dev Journey. That's good. Yes, every day one contribution. You want that green tile on your overview page to be a field of green. So we've got this pull request. I have CI built in, so Travis CI is now building the code, running the tests, and so on. So this is why it's going to take a bit longer than it did in yours. And if oh, you missed the day. Yeah, that sucks. Even if you don't have time to write code on that day, create an issue for the work you want to do the following day, because even creating an issue counts as a contribution. It ends up with a green kind of block on your overview. So I can see what you've changed. You did it with a table, you added it. Okay, awesome. So if I wanted to say anything like, please change this line, it would appear on that line. But what I'll do is saying, I'll say something nice. This looks great. Thumbs up. And if I add a single comment, you can see it in here. You'll be able to reply if you wanted to. If I had asked for a change, you could say, yes, I'll do this, or no, I won't. When you go back to this page, if I refresh it, this page gives you an overview of all the comments. So it will show you the comments from all the files and so forth. So I can't, oh, this failed, and it would fail. It's not you, it is me. As funny as that sounds. That the problem I have on my CI is I've got something I've got to fix, because I have encrypted values on CI. When there's a public contribution, it fails because it can't decrypt those values. So I need to make sure that it only happens, and you don't need those values. So I just need to sort those out. So it has, CI has failed, but I'm still going to merge it because I know it's correct. So you're merging into my V09 branch, which is my default branch. So I am going to hit merge and go, and it pre-fills it for me already. Now I merge it in. It's me. It is me though, it is me, seriously. So I've merged it in. So you now have contribution. And now if I go to this issue, because I put closes in front, the issue is also now closed as well already. So that's awesome. And if we go to the README, right at the bottom, social media. So now that's in my main line, main branch. So yeah, that works. So for the new people that maybe have joined, what would be really good is they saw me create this pull request, and you can see what I've changed. Sneaky Gamer, if you could merge that, and if I refresh this, you'll see that this is not a H1, but if you accept this pull request with this change, you'll see that I went from a P to a H1 tag. And then when we refresh this a minute later, it will get updated. Hey, how do I follow this repo? I just made that change. It's a good question. So I've been jumping around a bit. I should have planned a bit better. So on any repo you want to follow, at the top right, just hit star, and then you'll be able to follow. In your feed, it will appear. The watch means you get notified for every single change or comment, and you probably don't want that. That would spam you. So if you hit star, then it will just appear in your feed. So when you log into GitHub, when you go to your not your profile page, that's not what I meant. When you go to github.com, click on this, then this would appear in this page, and you'll be able to see what's changed and so forth. And you can also follow people. So if I go to your account, I click on your name, and I can follow you. So also you'll appear in my feed. So if you want to see the things that I'm doing and I'm working on, by all means follow me, and see I work in various projects as well. So you can see, thanks, you hit the star, that's good. So I've got up to 116 now on my project. Yes, 116, thank you very much. That's awesome, that's cool. See that people don't really understand that when you start someone's project, it does actually mean a lot. I mean, a contribution is great, But a star is, I feel, is a contribution because, you know, I think while people are watching my project, I want to do better on it, I want to do more on it, because I know people are watching it. So, okay, I'm saying watching it, ignore the watch with this one up here. But, you know, people are favoriting it, they want to know the changes that are going on. So that's awesome. Dev Journey, what's your project? You can't paste links in the chat. So, yeah, you just got banned for 5 seconds. What you should do is just do the bit at the end. So just do the organization and the repo name, and then we can just add it. I can get it up here now. So if I go github.com, is the GitHub organization. Okay, so bar me low. If I start that correctly? Oh no, it's II, like that, I think. Okay. Oh, that's the organization. Okay, and this is your repo. Is it the correct one? So you've got 15 commits. Nice. You did a commit quite recently. That's good. Would you like me to do a contribution to your repo? Shall I find something? Let me have a look. Composer, what are you using? Okay, so you're using Laravel's Lumen. Okay, awesome. You've hooked up to Jenkins as well, nice. Do you recognize my cap? Which camera do you want it in? Left camera? Middle camera? Right camera? Jenkins is cool. I mean, I love Travis, but if I couldn't use Travis, I think Jenkins would be my next choice. So let me make a contribution, let me see. So you've got the README, I could do a simple contribution to that. Let me see app, what have we got in here? I haven't done PHP in a while, but I'm sure I could do something. Wow, I haven't done PHP in a while, do forget. I'll just do a contribution to the README. We've been going for an hour and 10. I'm sure we all want to go have dinner. So it'll just be a boring contribution. And let me see. Oh yes, you've got it hooked up to, where does this go? Okay. Let me see. Let me write something, here we go. What can I write? What can I write? Quick start. Quick start. I don't know about Laravel. I'll put like a template in for you so you can maybe fill it in. So quick start. This is how to run the project locally. Does one automatically do steps? Step 1, step 2. Well, I think I probably know step 1. Clone, fork the repo, no, probably just clone the repo, I have to fork it. Clone the repo. Step 2, probably want to run Composer, install dependencies. Install dependencies, PHP, is it just Composer install? I'm not sure, I can't remember. Then 3, I'll let you fill in 3. And then also maybe have a section for dependencies. So you could have PHP 7+, I'm guessing. Have you got a database connected? Maybe MySQL. I'll do that for now, and you can comment on the PR and ask me to change something, or you can accept it and make the changes yourself. So if we look at this, so we just check the 1, 2, 3, okay, they ended up in the list, so I can see my changes. So dependencies, can't spell it, please correct, no it didn't. Dependencies and quick start. Can't write, quick start, added. I'm quite tired, it's been a long day. Start to repo, to README. Wow, okay, I think this is the last thing I do. This is not good. Okay, propose the file change. I'm happy with those changes. Create pull request. I can even, let me just hit view. What I'll do is I'll take a screenshot so you can see what it looks like as well and add it to the... Now if I go back to here, I'm going to drag and drop that in. Sorry, I just want to answer lots of messages from people, but if I grab this screenshot, where did my screenshot go? I did take a screenshot, I'm not going crazy. Recent. Here we go. If I drag and drop that in, we'll automatically upload it. And if I hit preview, then the pull request will have, there we go, commit. So, Dev Journey, you now have a pull request waiting for you from me, and it is just an update to your README, but you've got to see it in there, and that's what it will look like as a screenshot. And by all means, do comment in line if you say this should be version X, and I can make the change quite easily. And you just add a single comment, and you'll see that. Well, I'll see it, and I'll be able to make the change. Let me read some messages. Gave it a random. We tried importing one of my projects to GitHub. Gave it a random name. Just tried it out, and kind of wondering if you can even use it now, or watch it or whatever. It's already a complete project of mine, albeit a tiny project. Size of the project doesn't matter. I have tiny little bot projects and all the rest. So what's the name? Let's have a look. Oh, I actually know your username, so I can go find you. You're over here. If I hit refresh, image gallery. Nice, so you've got image gallery, and it is just scripts, images and CSS and HTML. So you could probably deploy that on GitHub Pages. So what you would need to do is, I'm trying to remember now. Let me go to one of my accounts. I'll see. This is the last thing. Let's get it deployed. Let's all see it with jQuery. That's fine. It's all client-side stuff. So if I pick one of my repos that hasn't got a name, actually I'm going to go to sources. So I need to be my project so I can see the settings. Computer checklist. Does that deploy out? I don't know. Hackathon tips I think does. So if I just go to settings, yeah, it does deploy out, and as you see, it appends it to my account.github.io/ the name. So on your project, on this repo image gallery, Sneaky Gamer, if you could go to settings, and it will take you to a page like this. And if you scroll down to the bottom, where it says GitHub Pages, and do you have this? Do you have a link here? Or do you have to choose your master branch and hit save? And while you're having a look at that, I'm writing it. I'm just going to check some of my other messages. But what we'll do is we want to see your other project deployed. I'm really impressed that you got your local project up on GitHub so quickly after seeing it for the first time today. So I'm really impressed. I feel like I've kind of done my job and I've achieved something today. You don't have a link there, that's fine. So if you don't have a link there, let me go to one of my other projects that doesn't have a link there, and we can have a look at what it says. So if I go to repositories again, I want sources because I need it to be my project. I don't think this one has one. So if I just go to settings, so if I scroll down, yeah, okay, it doesn't. So you should have something like this, and yeah, change it to master branch. Which I think is what you're using. Yes, it is. Change it to master, hit save. It will give you the link. We can guess the link, but grab the link, and at the top of your repo, you'll have an edit. Hit edit and put the website link in the top, therefore people can have easy access to it without trying to guess it. And then we put a couple of words description in there and add the link, and we'll get to see it. So if I hit refresh, let me know when the link is there, we can click it. And the first deployment on GitHub Pages, and if anyone else who's joined, GitHub Pages is a free website hosting, it's a free static hosting. The first deployment takes a bit longer than the rest. So where do you put the link? So on the top of your repo, you have an edit at the top right. If you just hit edit, you'll get 2 form fields. The first one's description, and the second one's the website. So just put it in the website, put a simple couple of words description. You can change it any time, and hit save. And then I'll hit refresh again. Don't see it yet. Getting me excited, the suspense! I want to see what this project looks like because you haven't got a screenshot in your README. Another issue I'll raise for you while you're doing that. Screenshot in README. It's ugly. It's fine. It's okay. Someone else might, improve it. So I've created that issue for you. Okay, brilliant. So you've got that. If I open that in a new tab. Nice. This is what you were working on the other night. I recognize it. Looks really good. So there you go. So now this is hosted on your webpage. So it's sneakies.github.io and then the name of the repo. So you can have all your repos can have free web hosting. But the gallery looks good. Like it. So what I want to do, I'm going to do another contribution for you. It's getting out of hand. I need to grab dinner. I'm sure all of you want to grab dinner. I want to take a screenshot of that. I've created an issue to say add a screenshot, but I'm going to do it myself. If I hit edit, I'm just going to... I like to add screenshots to the issue section, images, not to the actual... I don't like adding binaries in the source code because it makes it really awful. So if I just save that, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to your code, and I'm going to go to README, and I'm going to hit edit. And another markdown syntax I didn't show you was you can add images. So links are done with square brackets and curly brackets, and then the link part goes in the second half in the normal curved brackets, and in the square brackets is the alt text. But if you put an exclamation mark at the beginning, it becomes an image. So we can just say screenshot, and then I'll put the link to the image in here. If I hit preview, we'll see the image appears, and I'll just propose this added screenshot to README. And if I propose that file change in the pull request, I will say closes hash and the issue number, so that will automatically close it for you once you merge it, and hit create pull request. So there you go, another pull request. It creates a link which is convenient, and if you accept that, it will appear with an image. So this is the beauty of open source. I'm collaborating with people I've never met, don't know, and it brings people together. So there's a technical benefit, there's a social benefit, there's so many benefits. Okay, I'm a bit crazy about open source, as you could probably tell. And if that doesn't give it away, my green tiles might give it away. I was a bit disappointed at the beginning of the year. I have some spaces, but it's normal to have spaces. I have some really dark green tiles with a lot. I had a couple of tiles that have now dropped off. That had about 70 or 80 contributions in those days, and when they dropped off, my number at the top dropped down a lot. I was very upset. So we're just trying to get it up, and you can. That sounds really dodgy. Get my GitHub contributions up. Don't have a dirty mind. And you'll see even today, just today, and talking to you, I've done 19 open source contributions, from creating issues, commits, pull requests. So even just creating an issue and then doing the commit for that issue and then creating the pull request probably was 3 or 4 contributions already. So it does add up. I've got some comments. So definitely right to add images to the README. I've missed a comment before. Is there any way where I can just push small changes I make on local file on my PC to files on GitHub? Yes, so I think I was going to demo that on my account. Oh no, I couldn't because my terminal didn't open. But I could do one for Dashboard Hub because I have IntelliJ opened. And so let me see, let me get my Dashboard Hub project open. I think the terminal on IntelliJ will work. Let me just make it a bit smaller to go from a 5K screen down to, it's still a 5K screen, but the resolution's a lot lower so you can read the text. So, let me show you. But the answer is yes. Yes, working on open source stuff. Love it, it's good. So these are some of the tests that I'm writing, but what I will do, it's just practice. And you'll make mistakes and you'll practice more and more. I'm still making mistakes 14 years later. Okay, I've only been coding for 14 years, but using Git for maybe 7 years, 8 years, something like that. And I'm still learning more about it. Probably only know about 20% of Git because you really only use about 5% of it on a daily basis. And then the rest of it you use occasionally. And the rest of it you don't really use so much, or you use when you need to. So if I've got a terminal in my IntelliJ, here we go. So if I just make this a bit smaller. So what you can do, I've got all these changes. But just to say, to answer your question, can you make a little commits locally? You can. So you could do git commit -m, quote, so -m's the message, and you type in here the change that you did, test commit. I'm not going to commit this. And then the file name, or a dot if you want to commit everything. And then that will be a commit locally. So that won't be on GitHub, that will just be locally. And you can do as many of those as you want. So you can say, I changed this file, then I then did this feature, and I improved this. You might have 3 or 4 commits, and that's fine. And then once you're happy, all you do is go git push origin, because origin will be GitHub. And when you clone the repo, that will be set up for you already. And the branch. So most of the time it'll be master. In my case, it would be issue-752. You push it up and it will appear on GitHub, and that's it. So you can do it locally. You don't have to use the UI, but the UI is good for small stuff as well. If you haven't got internet connection, you can do commits locally, and then when you get your internet connection, you can then do a push or a pull and sync it all up. So that's approaching an hour and a half. I think there's a lot to take in today, and I'm ready for dinner. So listen, thank you very much, all of you, for your support, your questions, your suggestions, just your support in general. Please leave me messages, whisper to me about anything else you want me to cover in the future, and we'll cover it, we'll do it, we'll pair more online. I should call this channel Pairing with Eddie. And I do want to get another vendor who's been chatting in the channel. He's a really good developer and a really good friend of mine. I'd love him to come on, and we can do some really hardcore technical stuff. And you can all throw questions at us, and we can try some things out. So thank you. Your terminal's behind your camera. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's true. No one said anything. Right, okay, that's a really good point. Okay, to change that for now, just so you can see it, how can I do that? Let me see. I will make project, close project. That doesn't move over, that's not very good. I'll drag this all the way over there. How's that? So again, this is good for me to practice my streams, because I'm getting feedback all the time. And thank you, I can't pronounce that name, Titsutnes, for your suggestion with the camera blocking the terminal. Really good point. But just to recap what I did, it's git commit -m, the message, and then at the end you put a dot for commit all the files that have changed if Git's tracking them, or you can put the file name space the file name, or the path. You can even just do a folder if you want everything in that folder to go. There is staging and unstaging where you don't have to specify it, but I wouldn't worry about that now. And then once you've done one commit or more, you can do a git push and push it up. Some more messages. Have a good night. Thank you very much, Dev Journey. Same to you. And I still can't pronounce her name. I'm gonna say right. I'm so bad at pronouncing names normally that I can pronounce. That's a really hard one. But can I abbreviate it to Titsnaz? Thank you very much for your suggestion again with the terminal. Have a good night too. Sure, we have to just get our scripts right first. Good cop, bad cop. That's true. And I'm sure everyone has some really good questions for us. But I hope that helped. So again, to recap, conclusion. Contribute to open source, number one. Do it daily if you can. And don't forget, it doesn't have to be a code commit. It can be an issue. Create an issue is also a contribution. So if you're thinking you've got ideas for tomorrow, log that issue for tomorrow on your repo or someone else's. What else? Actually, while I'm doing this, I'll give you a view of my screens. Might be a better view. There we go. Okay, so that's number one. Don't know which camera to look at. Number two. What's number two? Do everything as open source. So even if you've got projects that you started months ago and they're locally, create a repo on GitHub. Add the remotes locally, so do a git init to initialize locally your repo. Add it as a remote. Again, send me messages, I can help. GitHub have got great documentation on this. Or watch the beginning of this video, we did it all at the beginning. And so add a remote and then push it up there. Then once it's on GitHub, not only can people see it, you can use the issues section. People can contribute back. You can use the projects board, which is like Trello. You also have a wiki, and you also get free hosting. So use GitHub Pages. It took us literally 30 seconds set up, even for people who are new to it. So do use the free hosting. If you want to use your own domain, you can also do that. Again, that's really simple to set up. And that was number two, I think. There's quite a lot in that one. I think that's probably it. You don't have to use a terminal. You can. GitHub does have a graphical interface for Mac, for Linux, for Windows, but I would suggest using the command line because you'll understand more what's going on. But you could also just use the GitHub webpage. At the end of the day, they're all going to be running the same sort of commands because underneath GitHub is just Git. Basically, everything will be on GitHub with the GUI only for now, since I'm very bad at command line, unfortunately. Again, it's just practice. Open the Git GUI thing, I downloaded it once, but not really know what to do with it. Yeah, even me, with all my years, I find the GitHub GUI a bit confusing. Command line, git clone, git commit, git push, and if someone else is contributing or you've made a change via the UI on GitHub, git pull. Really, that's it. We can cover those again next time. Yes, learn the commands. Awesome. I hope this has been helpful. Please do follow my stream so you get notification next time I'm on. Please contribute to any of my projects. Dashboard Hub's my main one. Please do, like this one here. Please do contribute to it, and I'll accept it, or I'll put comments in how you can get it accepted and so forth. As you can see, I'm a very friendly person. I love open source. I want more people to contribute. So yes, have a great evening. It is an hour and a half, I think, pretty much on the dot. So I think that's enough for one night. Yes, you have lots to do tonight. I wanna see people's progress between today and tomorrow. You've got 24 hours, 23 hours. I've been on for an hour and a half, 22 hours. Still, you've got all night and all day tomorrow. I do want to see some of your work, and I want to keep an eye on it. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you very much.